guys, Dawn LaForêt here. Welcome to my review of the Monsters arc of Nickelodeon's TMNT show. Now this review encompasses episodes 14 through 17 of season 5. Now despite the darker tone in animation and story, this arc actually feels loads lighter than Raphael Mutant Apocalypse. This is in large part due to the campy nature of these episodes. Going off Dan Spitlier's review, the cliche title cards at the start of each episode invite us to sit back and enjoy this show. Now please don't believe I'm complaining. I think this arc was certainly the time and place for campy and lightheartedness. Not to mention we probably needed that. On top of that, the solid animation and character designs made for a very enjoyable visual experience. I think the animators took that opportunity to explore with the cool monsters we got to see. Now, the great thing about these deliberate and planned short arcs is the potential for this fluid transition of characters, themes, and plot lines. We saw, for example, Dracula and Frankenstein in the very first episode. On top of that, Dracula's and Romero's tension was set up quite well too from their first meeting. So in short, this arc gets solid points for continuity. The big flaw though with this particular arc was the repetitive plot. 3 episodes in a row, the Turtles try and fail to get ahead of Romero because they accidentally help him recruit his monster army, thus the villains escape with better odds. I do, for the record, appreciate the higher stakes against the Turtles, but I think the tension would have been more palpable if the plotline made it possible for me to feel actual sympathy for the Turtles. And before we get into the character breakdowns, let's talk references. I noticed a bit of Beast Boy in the opening theme. There's perhaps some Disney as well with this compassionate gypsy named Esmeralda. Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver, shout out to Dan Spitlier for that one too. Oh, but speaking of shout outs, the show gave a big one to Andre Blacknerd for the Smooth Donatello. Let's not forget pretty much every classic monster movie ever written. Not just the characters that we enjoyed in these episodes, I should say, but also the solid horror directors John Carpenter and Sam Raimi were mentioned. The Alien franchise got a shout out with the Xenomorph virus. Van Helsing as well. There is seriously quite a long list. Now, I want to mention the internal reference of Rahzar as Anubis. I appreciated what they did there. Now, there might have been at least one reference I missed, and that has to do with Raph and a fairy princess costume. Where did that come about? I don't know whether this was something I missed in the past of this show, or maybe this was a shout out to Sean Astin's other work. Let me know down in the comments if you understand the meaning behind that line. But in the meantime, shall we move on to our character breakdown? Methinks so.
Now there will be no difference between me and everyone else. Everyone will be a freak.
Out of our villains, Savanti Romero is the most fleshed out. I mean, it makes sense. He is a Ninja Turtles character, which means the writers could actually experiment more to make him their own. His plan, by the way, to create a world of monsters so that he doesn't stand out is a similar struggle that the Turtles face. They love Halloween because it's the one day where they don't stand out. To think they have that in common with Romero makes him a little pitiful. I feel slightly bad for him. Now, that being said, he wants to create a world that would completely destroy the Turtles, so I kind of take back my pity. Now, the other characters from Dracula to Frankenstein were more chances for awesome references and nods to past horror classics. Now, that said, the conflict between Dracula and Romero made for a great twist that kept the otherwise repetitive episodes more interesting. Now, watching them work together only because they had to was quite ironic, especially in contrast to the Turtles and Renette, who work together because they kinda like each other.
Jinkies!
speaking of Renette, the 2012 version of her is hands down my favorite, despite what higher producers of Ninja Turtles might say about all versions of Renette being the same person. The 2003 Renette stayed true to the comics, but both versions were rather unbearable to me. The 2012 Renette, I mean, she's still rather clumsy like her past incarnations, but at least she is accountable and quick to right her wrongs. Now, Raph's critique at the beginning of the arc was admittedly harsh, but it had elements of truth. Renette does have a long way to go before she becomes a real master of time. Having a little more foresight and being less clumsy would certainly help. That said, what Romero lacks, like respect for time, Renette has in abundance. Since she has that solid foundation for her post, everything else can come with time. But sorry, not sorry.
'Cause I'm your real friend, and I know your favorite food is Frankfurters!
Since I'm coming around on this whole turtle-human relationship thing, and Renette is actually fine with Mikey's attentions, I admit they actually complement each other quite well. They both have a certain innocence that's tough to match. It's also very endearing that he had her back many times. Perhaps that helped Leo and Donnie sympathize with her, though they initially sided with Raph. Now, on the topic of endearing, Mikey's heart shone with his empathy for Frankenstein as well. Mikey reaches the marginalized in ways no one else can. But it makes sense. Not only does he understand them, he actually cares enough to help further than his brothers might. Take what happened with Leatherhead. Now, overall, I was rather satisfied with Mikey's role. It wasn't overdone, but he was still rather significant. Big bonus, his usual clumsiness didn't actually hold anyone back. Yay, Mikey!
I gotta believe in this. The way I believe in my brothers.
Donatello had two particular episodes to shine. First was believing in his mystical weapon to ward off Dracula. As Spitlier said in his own review, that's actually quite a feat because Donnie is a scientist. He believes in what evidence, data, and numbers tell him. So, in short, the tangible. To overcome this particular problem, he connected belief in magic and something else intangible but real to him. His support of his family. How sweet is that? Donnie also shone in his knowledge, as usual. His hieroglyph translation app was rather handy, but his help to create Frankenstein was super useful. It may not have seemed so initially because Frankenstein made Romero that much more powerful, but Frankenstein didn't actually do any real damage for the turtles to undo. Plus, he helped sway the battle to favor the turtles once he overcame Dracula's control. So in short, Frankenstein did way more good than he did bad.
Come on, team. Let's get to Frankenstein's castle and stop Savanti, and then we'll figure out how to get home. Or not, and then we're doomed.
Leonardo was not quite as put together or composed as he usually is. Now, for one, he was consistently in geek-out mode, which was really cute. I could never get enough of Leo geeking out. Now, on the other, though, he actually voiced his nerves and concerns, which he normally never does. At least, not as the epitome of hope that carries his team forward. Now, the last time we saw Leo in any way doubting himself was, well, okay, there was when Splinter died, but I was particularly thinking of the beginning of Season 3, when he's healing and doesn't actually believe in himself. Now, he had to fight to regain his confidence with April's help as well, and that was very, very poignant and wonderful. But instead of actually attributing these monster arc episodes to character development, I actually think that it was just part of the Halloween mood. An uneasy Leo, who is generally stoic and focused when on mission mode, would certainly bring the tension in quite well.
You guys can't win. This world belongs to us monsters now. You'll all soon be extinct.
Now, Raphael spent most of his time as a turtle vampire, which Sean Astin performed admirably. He sounded exactly like a brainwashed Raphael with long fangs and an obsession for blood. And that evil laugh, though. Now, the strangest part of this experience of this monster's arc was watching this passionate warrior turn sides. He is usually so loyal to his family, but to turn so completely and to use his knowledge against them, and especially given how much he needed his family in the last arc, it was straight up weird, truth be told.
Leo! Donnie! Mikey! We're back! And we're not freaky vampires anymore! Yes!
That's it for my review, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it as well as the episodes that went along with them. If there's anything you disagreed with or anything that you appreciated about these episodes, comment down below. I, of course, would love to hear your thoughts on my question of the day. What is or what was your favorite monster that you saw in these episodes? Did you happen to dress up as them for Halloween? I'd love to hear your stories. I seriously also want to thank each and every one of you for coming and enjoying these videos. I can't believe how fast this channel has been growing in the last few months. It boggles the mind, and I do especially want to thank the viewers who have been there kind of since day one. There's been a lot of improvement, a lot of changes that have gone on with this channel over the years, and I owe it to every single one of you. We will talk for the final arcs of this show. Until then, my ninjas.